That beat is hard right there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, you're far too kind. Thank you. Yo, you know, I may have to have you had that intro be a little longer. That beat is so hard. I love it. I love it. Good afternoon. My name is Jason Wallace, the restaurant scientist, and welcome to Hidden Figures podcast. Behind the numbers with the restaurant scientist. Here we take an in-depth look into the economics of the food service and hospitality industry. The show objectives is we examine the economic disparities and inequalities impacting Black food service professionals and restaurateurs. We say that differently because the food service industry has multiple units, chain operators. When you start thinking about quick service, fast food, that's the food service industry on the larger side. And then you have the entrepreneur restaurateur side. And we examine both of those, the numbers. And our goal is to support and empower Black food service professionals so that we can provide greater opportunities and increase visibilities to access for capital and problem-solving resources and expertise. So I want to thank my sponsors, Cornerstone Business Labs, Cornerstone Productions, for their support and actually funding the show, because without money, the show would not go on. Today's episode, I am proud to have friends and colleagues that I've known for 30 plus years. I have Chef Brandon Walker and Chef Matthew Raiford. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Not bad at all. So I like to begin. Let's just jump right into it. I don't know how you want to start. When I asked Timothy Dean and Marvin Woods who wanted to take the floor first, Timothy said Marvin was a senior, and he bowed down to the elder. So which one of you gentlemen would like to take the floor first?
I'm going to do the same. Raiford is senior.
There you go.
That's my boy right there. So, we go, all of us go back a long way, but I'm going to do the same as Timothy did,
Oh, wow. Absolutely. Okay. So Chef Matthew Raiford, good afternoon, brother.
Good afternoon, brother.
Thank you for coming. Tell my listeners a little bit about yourself, your past, your present, and how wonderful you are. I already know, but tell them.
Well, I don't know. It's all work. I'll start off by saying, I was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut, but was raised in Brunswick, Georgia.
Okay.
And my family has on both sides, my mom's side and my father's side, have a deep connection within culinary that oftentimes, I guess, kind of gets lost sometimes in my story, I guess, when I start telling things. And so I'll start this off by saying my father was a baker by trade in the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
He had what we now call dyslexia, but that wasn't what it was called back then.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't learn how to read till he was 25.
Wow. So
he basically memorized everything he saw, because it was like, oh, go make this, and so when I finished high school, well, I always loved to cook.
Mm-hmm.
So when I finished high school, I told my dad I wanted to go to culinary school. Actually, I wanted to go to the CIA. And my daddy was like, there's a lot of things you can do. Cooking is not fucking one of them, with his exact words,
Right.
And so I was like, why not? And he was like, because you'll never, ever become the man that runs the place. Like, unless you open up your own thing. So just I don't want you to have to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to set kind of a scene a little bit too, because there's this misnomer of when cooking became a profession here in the United States. Totally different thing as compared to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So as a profession, we talk in the 80s before it became a professional thing.
Yep.
So cooking was not a professional thing when I graduated. When the year I graduated from high school was the year it became professional.
Wow.
1985.
Right.
So my dad was like, so let's go back 20 years prior to that was the right to vote. So we just got the right to vote. Segregation is ending and integration is the thing. So when you fast forward just 20 years, my dad was like,
Absolutely.
the cooking was not going to be the deal. I went in the military, didn't cook while I was in the military. When I got out, I was going to Howard University to be a physical therapist. And I was doing what any 28-year-old freshman in college would do, which is throw parties. And so people were like, where'd all this food come from? You catering your parties? I was like, nah, I just whipped that up.
Right.
I finally had somebody say to me, hey, you should go to culinary school. And I told them, unless they found me somebody that looked like me, that was making close to six figures, I would never, ever go into culinary. Ever. Just ain't the deal. And then in 1 week, they were like, hey, I set you up a meeting at JW Marriott. And I was like, for what? And they were like, oh, to meet the chef there. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. Okay. All right, cool. I'll go. I literally was sitting in the lobby and this Black man walks up to me and says, hey, how are you doing? Are you Matthew Raiford? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, I'm here to talk to you about. I was like, about what? I was like, because you're not the chef. And he was like, I am. That was Earl's Bell.
Earl's Bell. Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And so, he was making damn near six figures back then. I was like,
absolutely.
What?
Yeah, Earl's.
You run this whole JW Marriott in downtown Washington, D.C.?
Bad boy.
And that was the first time that it like clicked in my head, like, boom, there's a path you can get on,
Yep.
And then it fast forward, not even a year or two later, I'm at CIA doing my thing, and that led to a lot of other opportunities just in life in general. But to put it extremely like in the play,
right?
I was also an older student. I was by the time I got to CIA, I had already fought in a war. I had already had a child. Like I had done these life things that people normally wouldn't do, but also if they did do it brings a certain level of maturity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I didn't want to work for any named chef for him to talk to me as though I was not his equal. Because I was literally at that point more than just a grown-ass man.
Right.
And so all the things that I had heard that were happening with some of these big names, something that you said earlier about the Food Network just coming out and all that kind of good stuff, that was all right in that time period.
Right.
And I couldn't do it. Like I could not accept somebody going, you better, and not even asking me. Or, I mean, I get, I was in the military, so I get that there's that thing of like, you got to cut it like this, you got to do that, but you still should respect me as a human being.
Right.
So that was kind of like my beginning path with all of this. And I know that when Brandon and I would chat, I would always be like, man, we got to blaze our own trail. Like this thing is not the deal. Like this is
100%.
Ain't nobody telling us this. This is not the deal. Like we have to figure it out. And I remember reaching back, and I'm gonna cut this short so I can hand it over to Brandon. I remember when I reached back and was like, Brandon, what are you doing? He said, man, I'm over here making cheese. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I'm over here making cheese. I was like, that's what's up. The next thing he was like, man, I'm getting ready to go to China.
Right.
What? Who does that?
Right.
Who does that, right?
Absolutely.
And then I started realizing, wait, we are blazing our own trail.
Right.
And so my hat's off to something that you said earlier was that, you felt like, you had stepped out and stepped away from everything. I'm going to say that trailblazers are, first of all, few and far between. But also when you're blazing that trail, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
There is nobody else that's doing what you do. Yeah. Like right now, I don't know of any personally of folks that are chefs and farmers. I'm on family land. Land's been in my family since 1874. I will tell you this. If I knew then when I was leaving CIA, what I know now, I'd have came right back to Brunswick, Georgia.
Right.
I would have did the exact same thing that everybody else now makes it seem like it's the deal.
Right.
I would go right to that dock and get all my fresh shrimp. Why would I import shrimp?
Right.
I got shrimp come right out the ocean less than 3 miles from where I am.
Right.
I got hogs right up here, 15 minutes from where I am, a whole processing plant.
Right.
Like, but I was duped by thinking that I needed to open up, or I needed to work so hard to get to this level of superstardom.
Yeah, to be accepted by who?
To be accepted.
Right. To be blessed by who? Which,
right.
They weren't trying to bless us. They wasn't trying to accept us. They wasn't even trying to recognize us.
Right. And I'm my last thing. I remember to just play this part forward. Play it forward 20 years. I am sitting at the Gaylord National Hotel on the opening chef team. And they say, hey, there's some chefs that are going to be coming up from West Palm, and they're going to, help us finish this last push because we're about to open a 2,000 room hotel.
Mm-hmm. What city was this, Chef?
This is in Washington, D.C.
Okay, just so my listeners understand, and just so they know, when you say the CIA, that's the Culinary Institute of America.
Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. Here we go. Yes, definitely. Let's clear that up. And so who walks in the door? Erlis Bell. And he says, hey, Chef, I'm here to help you. And I was facing the opposite direction, and I was in a freeze, right? Like, sugar, this can't be, somebody's playing a game. Right. And when I turned around, and so that let me know that I was A, on the right path, right, but also B, that everybody that has actually been successful has blazed their own trail. There's very few Black, African-American folks that have moved from just being a good cook to becoming a chef that did not blaze their own trail.
Absolutely. We had to. We didn't have a choice. We didn't have a choice because James Beard wasn't recognizing us. New York Times wasn't recognizing us. And, none of the quote unquote sanctioned, organizations or people were recognizing Black chefs as being that level of highly trained, highly skilled individuals.
Not at that point in time.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
Chef Brandon.
Yes.
Tell my listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
Yeah. So I'm Chef Brandon Walker. I own a restaurant in Poughkeepsie, New York called Essie's Restaurant. Originally from Brooklyn, New York. Started my culinary journey as a young kid at home, cooking with my mom and the women in our family, which were all great cooks. Really found out early that's what I really love cooking, and that's what I really wanted to do. Started to do my research, and my first experience in this industry was in high school, junior high school actually, and high school, or I got the opportunity to do an apprenticeship program, and I worked at the Regency Hotel in New York City, Park Avenue, and I did all the different departments, and I got into the kitchen, and it just felt right. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Okay. And I talked to a few instructors at school, and they told me, look, you should check out the CIA. And I said, all right. At that point, I already got, accepted to Johnson & Wales, but I didn't know there was another culinary school out there. And then back then, culinary, like you said, the industry was on a transition of being a profession. So there were a lot of culinary programs popping up, but it wasn't many out there like it is now. Right. And at one point, there was a culinary advertising for a culinary program every month or so or whatever. Right. So now that's kind of died down a little bit, but so anyway, long story short, I got accepted to the CIA, and before I went to CIA, I was working at a 3-star restaurant called Tribeca Grill. So I was already ahead of the game before I even knew I was ahead of the game. Right. Just by one of my high school instructors was a good friend with the executive chef of the restaurant. Okay. And little did I know that he was a 3-star chef. He was a culinary grad, and he was working for one of the top restaurateurs in New York City at that time, which was Drew Niporant. Who's like one of the industry leaders, legends in the industry. Yeah. Who had 3, at that time, he was the man at that time. He had 3 restaurants. Yeah. He had Montrachet, he had Tribeca Grill, he had Tri Bakery, he had the I think what's that, Soho area, Chambers Street.
Yeah.
Downtown. He had that whole area on lock at that time.
Tribeca,
yeah. So, and then I got accepted to CIA and did my time there. And long story short, I did the fellowship program at CIA. I got my bachelor's there, and then at CIA, along with CIA, that's where I met Jason and I met Matthew, which are the elder statesmen in this industry. And through the years, we've been in contact with each other and developed great relationships. And pushing forward throughout that time, I worked at a lot of 3-star restaurant, New York Times restaurants. So I've worked at Park Avenue Cafe, I've worked at Tribeca Grill, BLT Prime, Oceana Restaurant. So, my goal was to work for the best chefs in the industry.
Got you.
So that way I can be a great cook, great chef. Was it hard? Yes.
Right.
Was it challenging? Every day.
Right.
But I wanted it so bad because I knew that I had to work harder than everyone else because of what I looked like.
Absolutely.
I knew that out of the gate. So I knew that I had to take everything that was thrown at me. I had to take it, and I had to work hard to get better, to be the best.
Absolutely.
So it was great. Then I decided that, I wanted to travel the world, always wanted to travel the world. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I heard stories about how chefs would leave, American chefs would leave the US, go to Europe, work on the French chefs, not knowing how to speak French, and working hard and learning the trade, and then coming back and working with their mentors, and then they're getting elevated and opening restaurants, people seeing their talent and stuff like that. So that was something that I wanted to do, and hopefully that would happen to me, and we would grow in the industry.
Right.
Didn't work out that way, but I mean that was the goal in mind that I had, because I love food at that point, and I still love food, but I wanted to be the best that I could be, and eventually be executive chef in a restaurant in New York City, create a name for myself, and then eventually open up my own space.
Right. But those
didn't happen that way.
Those opportunities didn't come, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I got to my goal, and I own my own place, and I started my own company. My own catering company. Then I started looking for a space, and found my own space. And here we are, 4 years later. My restaurant's successful. It's been open 4 years, and I can't complain. Even during the pandemic, we're okay, and we're going to be all right. So, that's pretty much my story.
Okay.
And I'm really grateful for Jason, for you bringing me on the show and being able to connect with good friends again. Because again, it's just, whenever, although we don't talk to each other on the regular, if we pick up the phone and connect, it's like we never left culinary school.
There you go.
For real, literally.
No, absolutely.
So it's great.
So the show is, behind the numbers, right? Hidden figures behind the numbers with the restaurant scientists. So let's talk about these numbers. My story kind of parallels both of you guys. You see, I'm rocking my Navy hat today. So my career started in the United States Navy on board USS Nitro AE-23. And then I went to culinary school as well. Then I did an apprenticeship in La Rochelle, France, came back to the United States, line cook, sous chef, executive chef. So when we started talking about the inequalities and the opportunities that weren't really presented to us, where, our path might have been like a 10-year path where, a white chef's path coming out of culinary school, 3 years or less as sous chef, 5 to 7 years an executive chef, and then, getting that title gives you the credibility so that when James Beard and New York Times started to write about that restaurant, the executive chef got the credit, right? We weren't given those opportunities in the mid 90s and early 2000s. So gentlemen, let's go back to Chef Raiford. Talk to me about your current business model. Share with as much information as you can without any proprietary details, but how much money did it cost? Like, let's really dive into capital. Like, what capital did you need? We call them business model canvases now. We don't really call them business plans anymore. When you did your business plans, what were the performance? What was the projections? How much capital did you think you need? How much capital did you actually get? What types of resources did you have that came your way in order for you to start your business? Let's take a deep dive behind the numbers of your business, Chef Raiford.
Yeah, I almost feel like a serial entrepreneur in some kind of ways,
Right.
because when, very similar to what Brandon was saying about like starting a catering company and then looking for a space, I had opened a catering company when I was in Atlanta. My business partners and I, as we started, as folks started to get married and, have kids and things like that, we're like, this is a lot of work. I don't think I can keep this up. So then that kind of that stopped that business. And then I just kept in the grind for a minute. And when I decided to really open up my own, it really came from I had came home to the farm. I had went back to school to UC Santa Cruz for the Center for Agroecology and Sustainable Food Systems, which is about really learning how to grow sustainably, organically, and regenerative agriculture. So I came back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, I was going to say, I don't think my listeners don't understand. Chef Raiford is a farmer. He's a black farmer. He has his own farm.
That's rare.
And he's growing his own product. So I don't think we actually let people know that. So
okay, well,
let's dive into that right there.
Okay. So I come back home in 2010, and I'm gift deeded. My sister and I are gift deeded land, our family's land.
Okay,
a very large amount of our family's land.
And where is this located?
Brunswick, Georgia. So we're right below Savannah, but then again, right above we're 29 miles above the Florida state line. So I am in planting zone 9A, which is the hottest zone for the state of Georgia, which means I can grow bananas, avocado, stuff like that.
Okay.
So, I come back home and I go get a job. Because my head is still wrapped around I need to work to get some money set to the side, even though I knew that there were other people that had started things. And then the way Brunswick is set up, we have about 2.9 million visitors that come to this space just to go to the island, all that kind of good stuff. Well, I'm not from the St. Simons and Jekyll Island, so my thought process was to open up a restaurant in downtown Brunswick where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was two reasons for this. And I want your listeners to be very, very clear on the numbers I'm getting ready to give.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 10 years old, well, first of all, I'm 53 right now.
Okay.
When I was 10 years old, my mom, my sister, and I were downtown Brunswick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, we go into this store and I start doing the little pee-pee dance that little boys do, like, oh, shoot, I got to use the bathroom, and my mom was like, oh, excuse me, miss, where is the bathroom? And the woman says, we don't have any bathrooms for y'all.
Oh, You was 10.
I was 10.
So
I want everybody, every listener that's listening right now, I want you
70s.
to track 43 years from where you are right now. Right. So that was said to me at 10. So I promised myself if I ever came back to Brunswick that I would open a restaurant in downtown Brunswick for that reason.
Absolutely.
And I tell that story. When I told that story here in Brunswick, folks was like, wait, what? I was like, oh, y'all living in that New South shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm telling you what it was like for me 43 years ago in this spot.
Right.
And so I think that set the tone at the very beginning for what I wanted to do, because I was like, oh, I really need to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm diving off into the business plan, writing the pro forma, all that kind of stuff. And I wanted something small. I didn't want no 100-seater. I wanted something about 25. I wanted a very cafe style. I wanted, the buzzwords at the time were Southern and local, right? And I was like, well, I'm all of those things. Those are also all the things that I ran from out of culinary. Like I ran so far away from it to where I would intentionally rename a dish to make it sound unsouthern. That's the best way I can say it. Because
right.
As a kid, I had never ate shrimp and grits. So when people was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah, made shrimp and grits," and it was $32, I was like, "For shrimp and grits?" Fuck? You know, because I grew up here where I live. I grew up eating fish and grits,
right,
with stewed okra and tomatoes on it. That was for dinner, and sometimes we would get fried fish in the morning if my great grandfather or my grandfather brought in what we called a mess of fish, because they would go out fishing like 4 o'clock in the morning, come home at 6:37, get ready for work. You feel what I'm saying? That was that's that work ethic one, and then that's how we ate. Now it's like, oh, I'll pay $100 for that meal.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
You know, this was the meal that y'all told me I couldn't cook. This was the thing that when I was at Gaylord, they were like, "Oh, chef, Kwanzaa's coming up. Can you come down and help us?" Wait, what? You want me to do what? No, hold up. So I have to learn classical French, classical Italian. I got to learn all these things.
German, charcuterie.
Yeah, charcuterie, all this stuff. And you want me to come down and help you with Kwanzaa? You got a recipe, follow it. And everybody was like, "Oh my God, did he just say that at the food and beverage meeting?" Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now, just so that you know, that meeting was in 2010.
Right. Wow.
So just 10 years ago, I was asked to go somewhere and do something, right? And I was like, okay, you know, it is what it is. And so I'm saying all that to say that when I came home, I was like, I have to mix this up.
Right.
And so how I thought I was doing it was to open up my own restaurant, get downtown. You know, everybody's loving these little events I'm doing out here at the farm.
Right.
Okay, money's gonna be coming in good. So my partner at the time, Javon and I, we actually started looking for little spots that we could turn into this cafe. And we were really trying to find something that had been a restaurant and had closed, because then it would already have a grease trap.
Right. Second generation space.
Go through all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And if your listeners don't know, I will tell you that all those things are those hidden costs that you have no clue.
No idea.
You know, So here's what I found out first. We found a space, but it wasn't restaurant ready. So I decided I'm gonna make it restaurant ready. I didn't know that the bathroom that was gonna be built was gonna cost me $10,000 after it was all said and done. I didn't know that. I was like, well, we got to put in some handrails. We got to
Yep.
Handicap accessibility.
Right. So then, where my grease trap was going to go, they were like, well, how many seats are you gonna have in there? I said, 20. They were like, well, do you plan on growing? And I screwed up and said, well, yeah, I'm hoping to get up to 40.
Oh,
they were like, oh, so your sink needs to be like this, and the needs to be like that. And when I say that I thought that it was gonna cost me about $50,000 or so, I was at almost like 90.
Right. How much did you have?
Oh.
And where did the money come from? So
the initial money was coming, we were taking out a loan and out our own pockets.
Right.
Okay. So I'm also going to tell you all, your listeners for sure, like when you are working with other people,
right,
even people that you just like, this is going to happen, I want you to believe that it might not.
Right.
Because I went to the bank, I had someone that was on the hook to help to move into the right direction. I had gave them the pro forma, which was that we would make at that particular time with just those 20 seats, right? That we'd make about $150,000, $175,000 that first year, because where we were located.
Right.
Right? Location.
Right.
They knew the restaurant business too, inside and out. They own restaurants.
Right.
So when I handed them everything, they were like, oh, shoot, man, you got all your ducks
in a row.
Right. You got your ducks in a row. Okay, no problem. you know what? I'll help you so that you can have enough capital to get through your first 2 years.
Okay.
Right? And it was going to be a line of credit. It wasn't like it was going to be, you're going to dump all that money in my pocket.
Yeah, you just draw down as you need it, what you need.
Mm-hmm. I go to the bank. I'm sitting there. What time is it? Okay, he must be running late. Shit, it's been an hour.
He's still here.
The loan officer picks up the phone and calls. And the person's like, oh, I'm in the middle of doing something. One of my meetings went over, blah, 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 blah. Whoop-de-whoop. Oh, okay, wait. I said, this ain't going to happen. Right. I said, but you know what? I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. Anything could have happened. Right. Because this year is a pandemic, and I don't think anybody was expecting that to happen.
Right.
I'm going to tell you what your boy did. I was like, no problem. I'm going to go home. I'm going to sleep on it. Hey, it is what it is. And the loan officer actually said, hey, on Monday, we're just going to pick it back up. He said he'll be up here on Monday. We'll finish it up. I said, okay, bet.
How much was you asking for? I went on and kept
doing what I was doing and built out of the restaurant.
How much?
And guess what happened?
What happened?
That Sunday, hey, man, what's up? Phone rang. I looked at the phone, turned to Javon and said, he ain't going to do it. We got to figure something out. I turned the phone on, had it on speaker, and I was like, what's up? He was like, hey, man, yeah, you know, my lawyers looked over everything, and it's not going to be a good investment. Wow. And I said, just like this, okay. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'm really, really sorry. I said, hey, you know, things happen. Right. It was great. I got to figure it out now. I'll talk to you later. And I hung up.
Wow. Chef Brandon, tell us a little bit about your journey. We got about 10 minutes left. So,
oh, my bad.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's tell us a little bit about some of the numbers and what your challenges were and where you stand at this time.
So me, I invested about anywhere from 100 to 120K in my business.
Okay.
And I, as like Ray, I looked for a space that was already a restaurant because I already knew going in some of those hidden costs that was going to, be cost effective. So I looked for a spot that had a hood already, that had possibly some equipment already. And then, I used Craigslist and to find my equipment and stuff like that. Restaurants closing down to kind of save costs, just to kind of scrape things together. Right. To put it together. Some of the challenges was, getting funding. Of course, I went around to several banks, say, hey, look, I have experience in the industry. This is my plan. This is what I have saved of my own money. Here's my business plan. I had all the pro forma, everything there. And like, well, I got told a lot of no's. I said, all right, well, no problem, which I knew that was going to happen.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to push forward anyway. And I got some funding from another, not a traditional funding organization, but they seen my business plan. And they said, wow, this looks good. Mm-hmm. They gave me the capital. I received the capital. It was easy. Like, they gave it to me, put it in the bank, and I started moving forward. And here we are 4 years later.
4 years later.
Initially, I projected that the first year, I knew going in that the first year was going to be good. Like, we're going to be hitting some of our numbers because it's a new restaurant.
Right.
And then people want to come and try it out.
Right.
So you can't, as a business entrepreneur, and to your listeners, you can't really count the first year's revenue as a standard.
Right.
Because the first year, everybody wants to try it.
It's inflated. Yeah.
Right. But the second year, you can't even count the second year because you're still new.
Yeah.
So you're really, really, really thinking about the third and fourth year as your real target number that you're going to have moving forward, because by that time, the dust has settled. You're not really new anymore.
Right.
So people know who you are, they know your food. And the key is being consistent through the first 2 years. So that way, in the third and fourth year, you can really see what your revenue stream is really going to be. And now you can really start to forecast for the future.
Absolutely.
And really check back on your business plan and see if you're hitting the numbers that you really targeted for.
Right. Chef, tell people where you're located.
I'm located in Poughkeepsie, New York, 14 Mount Carmel Place. And we're in the Little Italy section. If you don't know Poughkeepsie, New York, we are in the Hudson Valley, which is about an hour and a half from New York City.
And what's your name?
Name is Essie's Restaurant.
Essie's Restaurant. Telephone number?
845-452-7181.
Say that again.
845-452-7181.
Essie's Restaurant, Poughkeepsie, New York.
Banging.
How they
Banging.
get? Yeah. His food is. He has some. What was that butter you had on the chicken and waffles? What was that?
It's a vanilla butter, man.
Vanilla.
Ray knows about that.
Oh my God, that vanilla butter! Like you don't even like. I don't even want syrup on my waffles anymore.
Vanilla butter. And the thing about it is that thing is simple. It's just butter, vanilla, lemon zest, orange zest, and sugar. That's it.
Oh man, killed it! Knocked it
And
out the
good
park
butter.
with that. Killed it with that.
So
Everything was good. Everything was good. Chef Raiford, tell us about the farm, man. Tell us how, like, wrap us up, man. Bring us, because I think people really need to understand that you are so unique as a black farmer and a chef.
Yeah, so the uniqueness is that, they brought us over here to grow and to feed them.
Yes, they did.
Right? That's true story.
Yes, they did.
I am now at the point in my life where I realize that if that's what they brought me here for, they gonna pay me for doing that.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the free before. Now you're gonna pay.
You got the shit for free, right?
Yeah. And so one of the
it.
interesting things on the farm is, we constantly tell our plants, know your worth.
Right.
Like, you plant, you need to give me everything you got, right?
You talk
everything.
to them, you talk to the plants.
Talk to the plants, right? And so we're at Gilliard Farms, 106 Gilliard Terrace in Brunswick, Georgia.
Okay.
And we grow everything from hibiscus to Sea Island red peas, Sea Island white peas. We also are compost farmers also. I am actually finishing up something right now so I can be one of the first Black-owned soil labs in the United States. So right now I'm working on that because it all starts in the ground, right? So
Yep.
I have never heard of a chef that went and got the raggediest strawberry they could find and elevate it to something.
Right.
They go and they look for the best, juiciest, largest, less seeds, sweetest strawberry they can possibly find. And they take that and elevate it.
Got you.
And so my thought process is, if I can get more farmers to understand their soil, and that the soil is part of what gives those plants and those things that sweetness, that glaze look, the perfume that it smells like when you bust that lemon open the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
mm-hmm.
I believe that all those things that we've learned in cooking, that
Mm-hmm.
if we can trace it back to the soil, that we will be a bigger deal. And so I am actually, Jason, I want us to make sure we talk about this offline. I got 30 acres here.
Okay.
I would love to find a way for us to have kind of a Black farmers and Black chefs collab.
Okay.
To where, think about it. We always looking for the next whatever. It's just amazing to know that in North Carolina, there's a brother named Marvin Woods that's growing Black Angus cows, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
got a big herd.
Gotcha.
And will cut the meat for you and has no problem with
Does he
creating.
ship?
Yeah.
We need to talk, man.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that if we could, and Jason, the reason I'm saying you, because you have a very unique look at how to bring people together.
Yeah.
And I think that that is what's going to be needed to bring these Black farmers and Black chefs to one spot. It's a beautiful space here. I got oak trees on the farm that are almost 200 years old.
Wow.
So, or older. So we have the space. I have an outdoor kitchen we're finishing building right now. I have a smoker built out of a 40 gun safe.
Wow.
That's sitting right out here. We're getting ready to have Kuni hogs on the farm. So I want folks to come out and learn who and where their food is or could possibly come from and who could actually cook it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you have a restaurant as well, chef?
So I no longer have my restaurant.
Okay.
But
So
we
you're
still
straight
do
farming now.
events on the farm.
Gotcha.
So what I did was, if I knew then, that's the other thing I will tell everybody.
Right.
If I knew then what I know now, I would have never left the farm from doing events.
Right.
I own the farm.
Right.
I own all these houses that are out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I own this.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want folks to also realize is start where you are.
Start where you are. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no reason to pay somebody else. If you can start where you are.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys. It's been a fabulous show. I probably need to do, which I'm finding out on multiple shows.
You gotta do longer.
Yeah, we got to do 2 sessions. We got to come back.
Yeah.
We got to come
No
back,
doubt.
man.
There you go. No doubt. Let us know.
I have both of your commitments to come back for another show, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we're going to talk
yes.
offline. Chef, I'm going to call you a little later today, Raiford, and we'll talk about what we need to talk to. Chef
Definitely.
Brandon, I'm coming up to Poughkeepsie. I'm supposed to actually come up there tomorrow.
All right. I'm here, so let me know.
Brothers, I want to thank you. I want to thank my sponsors, Cornerstone Business Lab and Cornerstone Productions. Thank you for another beautiful, wonderful session of Hidden Figures with the Restaurant Scientists. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Black Power.